What if I told you that behind the quiet smile of Wang Yibo, there is a carefully built business empire for companies, dozens of trademarks, and a 70% stake that changes everything? While some people are busy arguing whether idols fade after a drama ends, Wang Yibo is quietly doing something very different. He is not only acting, dancing, or racing. He is registering companies, signing contracts, building brands under his own name. Tonight on Star Watch Now, we are not just talking about his dramas or variety shows. We are going to open the door to the business side of Wang Yibo, the side that many people have heard of, but very few truly understand. Stay with me until the end, because this is not just about numbers and shares. It is about how a young artist turned his popularity into a long-term, strategic life plan, and what we can learn from it. Welcome back to Star Watch Now, the place where we look beyond the headlines and uncover the stories, relationships, and hidden decisions behind your favorite Chinese stars. If you enjoy thoughtful storytelling, respectful analysis, and drama told in a calm, intelligent way, then you are absolutely in the right place. Today's journey: Wang Yibo, the artist, the brand, and the man quietly sitting on 70% of his own business empire. Before he became a headline name or a fashion front-row regular, Wang Yibo was simply a teenager in a practice room, repeating the same choreography until his legs shook. Those early days were not glamorous. Long hours, strict instructors, uncertain prospects, and a constant fear of being replaced. Yet, instead of breaking under pressure, he learned something crucial: how to observe silently, endure discomfort, and keep moving forward without making noise about it. That mentality did not disappear when he became famous. It evolved. The boy who once memorized dance steps began to memorize contracts. The young performer who had to adapt to every instruction started to think, what happens if I am the one making long-term decisions? Slowly, behind the public image of a reserved idol, a new version of him began to form. Someone who still worked like a trainee, but thought like a strategist. His growth is not only about rising higher on stage, but about steadily claiming more control over his own life offstage. On the surface, for company names may sound like administrative details buried in databases. But when all four share one common thread, Wang Yibo's involvement, they begin to resemble chapters of a carefully written plan. These entities span culture, technology, media, and business services, each one reflecting a different aspect of how his image, creativity, and influence can exist beyond screens and red carpets. Instead of letting others package and sell his value, he is slowly building structures through which that value can be managed, protected, and redirected on his own terms. It is almost like watching someone draw a map of their future in real time. One company handling content, another dealing with intellectual property, another potentially enabling partnerships or new ventures. To casual observers, it might appear overcautious for an entertainer to be attached to multiple companies. But to someone thinking decades ahead, for companies are not about excess. They are about balance, diversification, and quietly ensuring that no single door decides his fate. 70% is more than a number on a document. It is a statement of intention. For an artist, owning such a large share of a company is a way of saying, I am not just participating. I am responsible. With 70%, decisions are not simply happening around him. They pass through him. His voice does not sit at the edge of the table. It sits at the center. This changes the narrative entirely. He is no longer only a resource deployed by others. He becomes a person who can allocate resources himself. When a company is majority-owned by the artist whose name it carries, the usual imbalance between talent and business tilts slightly back towards fairness. Future projects, collaborations, and expansions are no longer only opportunities for others to profit from his popularity, but potential vehicles for him to shape a sustainable future. In a world where many performers are replaceable, that 70% represents something rare. Ownership of destiny, not just ownership of shares. It is a quiet, deeply calculated form of self-respect. Registering a name as a trademark can seem clinical, almost cold. Yet when that name belongs to a person continually photographed, discussed, and dissected by millions, trademark protection becomes something far more human. A shield. Every variation of Wang Yibo, every category of goods, Every legal filing is part of a barrier that says, this identity is not a free tool. It cannot be used carelessly. By securing his trade names across different sectors, he is not only thinking of potential products or partnerships. He is defending his future from distortion. It is a way of drawing a boundary in an industry that often blurs them. The same name that appears on posters and streaming platforms also appears in legal records, demanding to be treated with respect. For fans, it may feel like a technical footnote. For him, it is preparation. One day, when he chooses to extend his presence into fashion lines, creative projects, or social campaigns, the foundation will already be in place. The wall is not built to keep the world out, but to ensure that every door through it opens with his consent. The relationship between an artist and an agency is often compared to a contract, but in reality it is closer to a dependency. The agency supplies opportunities, connections, and infrastructure. The artist supplies visibility, public affection, and revenue. When one side dominates too strongly, the other becomes vulnerable. What makes Wang Yibo's situation compelling is how he appears to be walking a narrow bridge between collaboration and autonomy. On one side, he continues to work within the structure of a major entertainment company, sharing in its successes and weathering its fluctuations. On the other side, he has created a separate network of companies under his own umbrella, with no direct equity overlap. This separation is subtle but meaningful. It suggests trust without surrender, cooperation without complete exposure. If the agency prospers, he benefits as a leading artist. If it struggles, he still has independent pillars holding up his career. In an industry where many rely on a single tower, he is quietly building several of his own, ensuring that any storm affects him, but does not entirely define him. When people hear the phrase business empire, they often imagine someone ruthless, distant, and driven purely by numbers. Yet the image most associated with Wang Yibo is almost the opposite. A reserved young man who speaks little, works diligently, and carries a soft, steady presence wherever he goes. That contrast is what makes his story so intriguing. Behind the corporate structures, there is still the person who once looked uncertain in early interviews, who slowly found his voice through characters, stages, and late-night rehearsals. His companies, shares, and trademarks do not cancel out that vulnerability. They sit beside it, like armor carefully chosen rather than imposed. For fans and observers, this combination of gentleness and strategic discipline can be quietly moving. It suggests that one does not need to become harsh to be strong. You can protect your future, your work, and your name without losing the parts of you that are shy, sincere, or introverted. His business decisions, in this sense, are not just about profit. They are about preserving the space where he can continue to grow as himself.